Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Janelle has the night off. The Senate impeachment trial of President Donald Trump is over, leaving behind a deeply divided Congress and country.
The Senate adjudges that the respondent, Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is not guilty as charged.
There were no surprises as the Republican-led Senate acquitted President Trump on Article 1, abuse of power, and on Article 2, obstruction of Congress. The votes were straight along party lines with just one exception.
Were I to ignore the evidence that has been presented and disregard what I believe my oath and the Constitution demands of me for the sake of a partisan end, it would, I fear, expose my character to history's rebuke.
Exoneration comes when President Trump gets reelected because the people of the United States are fed up with this crap.
Well, the president calling this a victory not just for himself but for the nation. Republican Senators Steve Daines of Montana, John Barrasso, and Mike Enzi of Wyoming all voted to acquit, while Democratic Senator John Tester voted guilty. Well, a group in Billings disagrees with the outcome of the Senate impeachment vote and protested outside Senator Daines' office earlier this evening. Indivisible Yellowstone says it wants to hold senators accountable for not calling witnesses during the impeachment trial. Reject the cover-up as part of the demonstration for Indivisible Yellowstone. Indivisible Yellowstone is part of the nationwide Indivisible Project, which supports progressive candidates and policies. The group's concerned with Senator Daines' vote and him saying the articles of impeachment allege no crimes. The protest has a message for the senator.
To listen to us. We are his constituents, and we don't think he's representing Montana. He's in with the big corporations. Well, Senator Daines' office says the Senate did hear from witnesses, not just new ones. Well, what was once a crowded four-way race for the Democratic nomination for governor in Montana is now down to a choice between two candidates, and both have deep political roots in the state. Tonight, MTN's Jay Cohn zeroes in on the Democratic primary contest between Mike Cooney and Whitney Williams.
Democrats have controlled the governor's office in Montana for 16 straight years. Brian Schweitzer started the current streak in 2004, serving 2 terms. Steve Bullock then followed suit in 2012, also winning 2 terms in the governor's chair. Who will Democrats pin their hopes on in 2020? It's shaping into a battle between 2 candidates who both hail from prominent Montana political families. 65-year-old Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney was just 18 when Butte voters sent him to Helena as Montana's youngest state lawmaker in 1976. Politics have been his calling ever since.
Mike Cooney has fought like hell for the people of Montana, and I have a record to show for it.
In 1989, Cooney began an 11-year run as Montana's Secretary of State. He then served 8 years as a state senator, and since 2016 has been Montana's lieutenant governor.
What this is all about, and what Montanans are really going to say, is who can fight the hardest for us, who knows how to get the job done, who has been tested, and I think the bottom line is they're going to come down and say the choice is Mike Cooney for governor.
Mike hopes to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. Frank Henry Cooney served as Montana's 9th governor from 1933 to 1935. To rally Democratic voters, Cooney is proposing that Montana allow drug imports from Canada as a way to slash prescription drug prices. He vows another run at getting the legislature to fund pre-kindergarten and says Montanans favor responsible development of our natural resources.
I think we have a record of supporting our natural resource development. We want to do it the Montana way. We don't think people should just come in and be able to write their own rules and regulations and get away with things. We want to protect our outdoor heritage.
Vying with Cooney for the Democratic nod for governor is 48-year-old Whitney Williams. Whitney's making her first run at elected office, but comes with her own political pedigree. Her father, Pat, was Montana's longest-serving congressman until his retirement in 1997. Her mother, Carol, was the state Senate's first female majority leader. Williams sees herself as the new generation of Montana Democrats who bring new energy and expertise to the table.
I have a different skill set, I have a different expertise, I have a different sensibility, and I've solved very different problems in my career, and I think that that's what Montana needs.
Williams founded her own company, Williams Works, in 2003. As CEO, she advises corporations, foundations, and individuals on everything from solving complex problems to philanthropy. As governor, she vows to fight for continued access to public lands and says it's time the legislature bites the bullet to fund pre-kindergarten.
It's never easy to get these policies enacted, but it's well past time that we educate the 4-year-olds in the state. I know the legislature and the governor have tried to do that through a number of sessions, and I think 2021 is going to be our session.
The Williams campaign has turned heads in setting new records in political fundraising. In just 3 months of work, she's raised nearly $500,000. It's a fact she believes will serve her well in the general election.
Montana has trading partners and job creators and friends all over this country, and we are proudly going to take investments from them, particularly when we believe that we're going to be running against the single wealthiest member of the United States Congress.
In spite of her impressive business background and political bloodlines, Williams is a relative unknown on the state scene. Will voters opt for a new generation of leadership, or will a familiar face like Mike Cooney, with his decades of political experience, win the day? Time will tell. In Billings, Jay Cohn reporting for MTN News.
Thanks, Jay. And tomorrow, Jay will take a closer look at the money race between the Cooney and Williams campaigns. And the two candidates will be here for a forum a week from tonight at MSUB's Petro Theater. That starts at 6 p.m., goes until 8, and is open to the public. All right, Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us now, and Bob is looking at a even bigger chill possibly heading our way.
It's hard to believe. Yeah, we're looking at some very, very cold temperatures. But first, we have this storm to get over. First, look at this. That's a winter weather advisory. 5 to 7 inches of snow out in the west. Bozeman 6 to 10 inches. Billings maybe 2 to 5 inches of snow here. Up in the higher elevations, it's going to be more, like up to 30 inches of snow around the Great Falls area. Of course, as you've seen the Beartooth, maybe 12 to 25 inches of snow. But let's talk about what's going to happen next week, sometime about maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. This is something new from the Climate Prediction Center. Shows the very cold air moving down from Canada into parts of Idaho and southern Montana, and you'll notice Billings right on the edge of it. We're looking at single-digit high temperatures as we start into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, and 20 degrees below zero or colder for overnight lows. Back to you, Russ.
All right, thank you, Bob. A 4-year-old Billings girl with special needs received the ride of a lifetime today, courtesy of the engineering students at the Billings Career Center. Here's Trina putting the first miles on her brand new toy car. Trina has trouble using her legs, so the students modified the car with a steering handlebar that also acts as a gas pedal. The students worked on the project with the help of the nationwide nonprofit Go Baby Go. The nonprofit supports disabled children by helping build toys that help them play like other kids.
We're going to try to pass it on in the next car we do to some younger kids, some juniors and sophomores, and so we can just keep this going through our school so it can be here for a long time after we leave.
And both those two young ladies you saw there were lead designers on the project. They both plan to head to college for engineering in the fall. Still to come on the 10 o'clock news, the cattle industry celebrating some long overdue regulatory victories. That story in your Montana Ag Report. Plus a change in utility bills causing some confusion for consumers. MTN investigates. And in sports, we're talking some football. We're going to unveil the newest Rocky Mountain football recruits coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.